أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. My name is Saif Ruhaili, and we started this several years ago. I think now 5 years since we started. We are trying to take some verses, some commandments from the Holy Book, Qur'an, and then try to discuss it with each other. The main objective is not to teach you something new. I know you are more or have more knowledge than me. The only objective of these discussions is only to follow the commandments of Allah. وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So the reminder shall benefit those who believe. And we both will get some benefits, inshallah, after this discussion in this lecture today. Anyways, the subject of value is a sensitive subject. It's an essential subject that everyone is looking for. We have always asked this question at a certain time. We asked ourselves, how much do you worth? What is your value in this world? What is your value in your family? What is your value in your community? What is your value at work? We always kept asking ourselves this question, and it come and hit us sometimes because if the others does not value you, then you need some measurements, you need some KPIs where they tell you whether you are valuable or not. And there is nothing best than the Holy Book, the Quran, because it is the word of Allah. Now, at work, we can evaluate you and we can say how much you're worth by knowing how much money you make and what share you sit in. The higher the position you have, the more valuable you are at that company or that organization. In family or within your family, the more authority and commandments you have at home, the more you are valuable. The more your family members listen to you and obey your instructions, the more valuable you can feel. And in your community, the more recognized you are with a good reputation, the more you feel you're worth something that doesn't maybe or others doesn't have. But there are three main questions I would ask that would just give you the value of yourself in terms of this life and next life. Because you can see it's not fair. If I am not in your organization, that means I don't have any value. Or if I'm not making as much money as you make, then I don't have that value. So, and these circumstances you cannot control. You might try and fight for it, but you cannot control. So before we get into this, there are three main questions we need to ask ourselves. Where were you? What is your origin? Where did you come from? That's a very important question. It tells about your beginning. Knowing your beginning, you know who are you, okay? And also you want to know who brought you here, and then will lead you to the other question, why are you here? Okay? Why are you here? What is the goal? If someone brought me here, what is the objective? What do I need to do? What I need to satisfy? There are, in this life, there is unlimited things you could do, and there are unlimited subjects you can be busy with. It's endless. So what is the main objective to come here to this life? Because if you know the objective, you can verily evaluate yourself, how far or how close you are of achieving it, and then you can evaluate or value yourself on that base. The last question is, where are you going? What is your end? These three questions will hit any person comes to this life at a certain time. Why I am here and where I am going. What would happen later on? Okay? Because we know for sure there is a beginning and there is an end. So what happened after that end? This is very important, because if you know, you can understand how to achieve your goal here. The first question, where were you? This can be found a silly question. People might hate this question. They find it sarcastic to ask. They think they know, and that's a problem. In the Holy Book, in the Qur'an, in chapter 76, in the first verses, Allah has raised this question. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. Has there come upon a man a period of time when he was nothing to be mentioned? So if you were born in 1960, where were you before that? There were times here people are coming and going and buying and selling and doing business and collecting money and having ambitions, and you were actually nothing. You should think about that. You should give that time. You should give that question some time or lonely time. I was not here. Whatever you read in the history, don't make yourself feel that you were here all the time. There were times you were not a thing mentioned. No one was mentioning you, and the world was just working fine. So Allah then said, we created man from a liquid mixture, as the spur, to test him, and we made him hearing and seeing. What you can collect from these verses, the first thing, that you are not a coincidence. There is no way that you are a coincidence. You are a chosen one by the Lord Himself. He chose to bring you at this time and at this place. You are not a coincidence. And that is very important to get connected. To first, before you value yourself, you need to know this, that you are not a coincidence. You are not a random person that just happened to come to this earth. Regardless of your color, regardless of your age, regardless of your race, regardless of your whatsoever you can the community or the world put as valuation criteria, you should know that you are not coincidence. That's very important basic. Allah here stated that He has created the man from the liquid mixture. So He decided to bring you at this time. So this is your beginning, and it is very important to know this. Once you get out from the circle that you are just happened to come, then you can deal with the next questions. But from the basic thing that you think you are a coincidence, it's just a matter of luck that you came like this, whether in good or bad conditions, then there is a problem that you cannot solve. Allah in the Quran, in several verses and chapters, keeps remind you that you are not a coincidence. The evidence of this, that there are times where no one planning to bring you to this earth. And that is true. طيب. To continue this, not only He tells you that you are not a thing in certain times, but He specifically described the details how He made you. Okay? Allah said, we created man from an extract of clay. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِنْ طِينٍ. Then we made him a seed in a secure repository. So that seed is not a coincidence. And if you have done any medical courses, you will know that that seed is selected. There are million seeds in this sperm, and one is getting selected with special features, with certain DNA factors. It is selected. ثم خلقنا النطفة علقة فخلقنا العلقة مضغة فخلقنا المضغة عظاما فكسونا العظام لحما ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر فتبارك الله أحسن الخالقين. Allah here describes the stages that He was making you. And you know there are invisible hands where it is making you for 9 months. And it is created you in a way that there is no one can create you. Then we develop the seed into a cloth, then we develop the cloth into a lump, then we develop the lump into bones. Then we clothe the bones with flesh. These are processes to create you from nothing. Remember, you were nothing, and now you are being processed. The best process is then we produce it into another creature. And that is the moment when Allah decreed that a soul will be in you. That is the time you are told to come to this world. Okay? Most blessed is God, the best of creators. So these details of how you are brought is to visualize the art of your creation. That is very important. Now, in our days, we try, and we try very hard to not mention this. We try to mention since we start big, but that's not how it works. You need to know how did you start. That's very important. And your existence is meant to be at this time and this place. There is no coincidence. There is no mistake, okay, of timings. There is no small tolerance of error why you are here. That's very important. And having this fact, you would know that this life for you is not a game and it's not a coincidence. Okay? So you are brought here for a purpose. And you are brought here through stages and through commandments. And you should know this. So knowing your origin is very important to value yourself, to know that you are connected to someone. Okay? That's very important. The second question, okay, so we are here. I know my origin. The second question, why am I here? Why am I brought here to this world? What is wanted from me? And who he is? Okay? And that answer is in chapter 51 in Surah Al-Dhariyat. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ مَا أُرِيدُ مِنْهُم مِّن رِزْقٍ وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَن يُطْعِمُونَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الرَّزَّاقُ ذُو الْقُوَّةِ الْمَتِينُ. So you would ask your Lord, why did you create me? Why did you create the jinn and the humans? And the answer is here. You are created to worship him. Okay? Underline that verb, worship me. Okay? That's very important. The main purpose of your existence is to be connected with your Lord by choice. Allah has created lots of creatures. Some of them are worshiping him by default, and those are the angels. They never make mistakes. They never make any wrongdoings. And Allah chose to create certain creatures where they are implanted to have the choice to worship him. And you are one of those. So you are chosen to worship Allah by choice. And that is now, when you say worship Allah, then this is the main goal. Okay? This is very important. And with the unlimited desires, you can notice this. In your creation inside you, there is unlimited desires with short living time. If you tell anyone that you could use 50 years extra, he would say yes. I could use 50 years extra for eating and sleeping and walking around and enjoying life. And said, what about 100 years extra? He would say yes. You can see that it is not designed. Your creation is not designed to fulfill these desires only, because it doesn't make sense. Short time living, unlimited desires. So there is another purpose. That is by logic, is to get connected to your Lord. Now, how you get connected to your Lord? By worshiping him. There is no other methods. There is no other ways that can get you connected to your Lord other than worshiping him. Okay? So, how you would worship Allah? Worshiping Allah is not going to the mosque only and come back. Worshiping Allah is not only giving charity and then live the rest of your life otherwise. No. Worship is an act of living. It's a way of living the story of your life. And that is mentioned in the mouth of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he said, my prayer, my worship, my life, my death are devoted to God, the Lord of the worlds. Okay, this is how you program yourself. You are here to give up your life in the way that you need to worship Allah. It's not to fulfill your desires. It is actually to show your worship to Allah in this life. Okay? And then someone would say, that's quite strange. How can we do this? And it's easy. Whatever you think that you're doing for yourself, try to change it. Try to change the intention to do it for the sake of Allah. And then you will start to get into that circle. I give you example. Now you can give charity for the sake of reputation. You can give charity for the sake to please yourself. You can give charity for the sake of maybe getting recognition from someone or somewhere. But you can give charity only for the sake of Allah. And that is the difference. The act is the same, the intention is different. You can get married for the sake of people to say that you are married, to have kids, to build a house, to live a life. But you can get married for the sake of Allah, in terms you want to take care of a woman, and then whatever Allah is giving you as commandments towards her, you do, and whatever of commandments He forbid you to do, you would obey. That's an act of worship. So there are lots and lots and lots of commandments and instructions in the Holy Book you cannot fulfill unless, first of all, your way of living is an act of worship for Allah. You cannot mix. You cannot mix. And you cannot just say something for Allah and something for me. The only act of worship you can do is when it's a way of living your life. And then you would feel inside your heart that you are getting connected. That's very important. Now, another major issue or another major subject while worshiping Allah, it's always not about quantity, but quality. And that is stated in the Surah Al-Mulk, chapter 67. Allah said, He who created death and life to test you as to which of you is better in conduct. Okay, is better, not more. Okay, الذي خلق السماوات الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم. He said أحسن. He didn't say أكثر. It's not about the amount. It's not about the quantity. It's about the quality. And how you reach this, the more sincere you are in your act of worship, the more you are getting better and better and closer to Allah. This is the ultimate goal, that you become ultimately connected with the one who brought you. And by the way, our creation is designed like this. We need to worship someone. Allah said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ in the previous verse, He said, I did not create the jinn and humans except to worship me. So we are created in the design to worship. You just has to choose whom to worship. And there is no one can claim he worship no one. You could worship yourself to satisfy. You could worship your boss at work. You could worship your wife. You could worship your husband. You could worship your father. You could worship your community. You could worship anything beside Allah. But you need to worship someone. And the only way you can feel satisfied is by worshiping Allah, the one who brought you to worship Him. Okay? And that's when it comes about quality, not quantity. And I'll give you example in this. If you are, let's say you have money and you reach 1 year, like zakah. So the duration is 1 year and you reach the amount, okay, the quorum amount. So I don't know, that's 85 grams or something equals of gold. But imagine if you have $1 billion or you have $5 million, you have to give the same portion, is 2.5% from that money. Someone would say the $1 billion owner would get more rewards than the 5 million, and that's not true. The better of those, the more sincere, the more accurate, the more caring about giving that right to the poor, is the closer to Allah. But they did the act. It's not about quantity, remember. It's about quality. You could pray at mosque or you pray at home, but how much you are connected, how much you feel that you are worshiping your Lord, that's what counts in the prayer, not the acts, the physical acts. Okay, that's very important. So this is your goal, to worship Allah. Now, why this is important? Why this is important? Because if you know this goal, you will quit trying to satisfy other objectives. You have no problem if anyone is angry about you or happy about you, because the only one that matters is your Lord, Allah. So you will lose lots of stress from this life, okay? And that is where you reach the value of yourself. Internally, you will have a peaceful mind, peaceful soul, settling, okay? Because you know you need to satisfy only one identity. One is Allah, the Lord. So in that sense, you feel that your value, how much you are close to Allah, how much you are close to His commandments, how much you are knowing about Him, how much you love Him, how much you fear Him, how much you are looking, okay, for mercy from Him, okay? And that is very important. If you try to worship or anything else, you will always be distressed and you are always has no value. In the words of money, you have no value, okay? Because the amount of you have, there are several people who are worse than you, but they have more money than you, and you believe they are better than you. In the words of positions and luck, okay? You might be more competent, more knowledgeable, but you don't get that position, and then someone else will get it and you will feel less value, while it doesn't make sense. So don't compete in any terms for satisfaction of the goal, except the way of living the story of your life for the sake of Allah. Once you start this, you are in another circle. You are not competing with those. You are competing with the believers, how to get closer to Allah. So you're busy, okay? You are not worrying how people look at you, what people say about you, how people judge you, how people judge the way you look, the way you talk, the way you behave, the way you sleep, the way you wake up. All of these things, once you give them up, there is only one entity, only the Lord, Allah, I need to satisfy. Then you will be busy. You will reach that calmness. And that is very important, because having the goal will lead you to the next question. For how long I need to work towards that goal? Okay? And that is the third question. Where am I going? See, these three basic questions are for everyone. Any human being come to this world has to ask this question. He just has to ask. Okay? So Allah said in the Qur'an, وَهُوَ الَّذِي يَتَوَفَّاكُمْ بِاللَّيْلِ وَيَعْلَمُ مَا جَرَحْتُمْ بِالنَّهَارِ ثُمَّ يَبْعَثُكُمْ فِيهِ لِيُقْضَى أَجَلٌ مُّسَمًّى ثُمَّ إِلَيْهِ مَرْجِعُكُمْ ثُمَّ يُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِمَا كُنتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. It is He who takes you by night, and He knows what you earn by day. Then He rises you up in it until a fixed term is fulfilled. Then to Him is your return. Okay, that is, you are going back to Him. The one who brought you at the beginning, you're going back to Him. And someone would say, but I never experienced death. You are experiencing death according to this verse in the Quran, in Surah Al-An'am. It says that every day you are dying and then waking up. It's like a small seed of the resurrection. Once you sleep, you have no control of yourself. You're going somewhere, definitely, and you are not here. And when you wake up, someone gave permission for you to wake up. And there are lots and lots of cases that some people never came back to earth. They never woke up. We know that lots of people, they never wake up. They sleep, and the next day they say they never wake up. They are dead. Why? Because Allah said in the next verse, وَهُوَ الْقَاهِرُ فَوْقَ عِبَادِهِ وَيُرْسِلُ عَلَيْكُمْ حَفَظَهُ حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتُ تَوَفَّتْهُ رُسُلُنَا وَهُمْ لَا يُفَرِّطُونَ. He is the conqueror over his servants, and he sends guardians over you until when death overtakes one of you, or invoice take him away, and our invoice take him away, and they never fail. So there is a timing, as there is a timing for your start, there is a timing for your end. And that is in the hands of the one you are working your goal towards. That is very important. Then you will go back to your God, your true master. Okay? So death is not an end. It is a start of a new life. It is a beginning for meeting the Lord and whatever is happening after that. And it's like a journey from the unseen to the seen world. Whatever is there is unseen now for us, what called عالم الغيب, then it will be from the seen. Okay? And whatever were questions raised, why there is unlimited desires with limited life duration, there the story will change. Unlimited desires with unlimited life duration. That's what's called eternity. And it is a place for those who chose to work toward this goal. Okay? And this unlimited desire with limited life, it is actually answering yourself. Because once you know this, and you know there is something better forever, for eternity, okay, you will work toward that goal. But by agreement, this life is not enough to fulfill all of our desires, all our goals, all our objectives, all our plans. Even if it's halal, there is no time actually. I assure you, no one died and he completed all of his plans. Always in the middle of one of the plans, he's gone. Because actually, it's not the plan or the work he was doing, it's the objective, the intention for doing that work. What counts is that. Remember, regarding the intentions, the worship of Allah. Right. So these three sections or these three areas, always you need to visualize your origin. You're not a coincidence. How did you come? Who brought you here? And how were you created? That's very important. That's not a silly question. That's not something known to anyone, because people try to cover that stages. They try to cover that question. But you are not a coincidence, that's for sure. Knowing your origin, you can know your purpose, how and what you are supposed to do. Are you supposed to get the best job in the world? Is the objective of life, the only objective of life, is getting the most beautiful woman in the world? Is it the best objective in life to build the nicest house in the world? We've seen all of those, and they are gone. They don't sustain. They don't sustain for long. Is it to collect as much money as you can before you go away? Is that the purpose of life? Is it to get the ultimate reputation in community and the world? These are not purposes of life. They could be objectives. They could be objectives, small objectives. But the main purpose, whatever you do, is it for the sake of Allah? Did you reach the connection with your Lord or you didn't? That's a very important question. Because they are all going. Everyone is going there. Everyone is going back to his Lord. Since the start of the creation, since the creation of Adam, this commandment has been made. Everyone is going there. So, what makes you different than other? Okay, that's very important. If you cannot reach this, then by the Quran it said that you missed the chance. You need to know your goal, you need to know your purpose. Okay, the last part you need to visualize is your destiny, how it would be, what would happen, how would you go. We are all going back, that's for sure. Rich or poor, black or white, young or old, we are all going back. Everyone is going back. Where are we going? Whom we are meeting? What is required there? These are very essential points. The more you know how to answer these questions, the more you can visualize your value. The more you can feel satisfied about yourself. Okay? And the more you try to answer these questions by other means, then the more you are far away. Let's say your purpose of this life to collect as much money as you can. Fine. You collected 1 billion, 2 billion, 5 billion, then you die. And then what? You can see it doesn't give you anything. But if you say, I am collecting money to spend it for the sake of Allah, to worship Him, now the story is different. You are different. And the way how you deal with money is different. You see? That is the main difference now. Because you don't try to get the value from people. You are getting your value from the one who brought you here, from the one who created you from nothing. Okay? And that's when you know you are not a coincidence. There is a purpose you need to fulfill. There is a message. Okay? You need to deliver. The last thing, that destiny, that's everyone said that we are all going. We are not fighting that we are going. The only fight between all faiths, what would happen there? And like someone was asking, between a believer and an atheist. The atheist was telling this believer, how would you feel if you died and there was nothing there? There was no next life, there was no heaven, there was no hell, there was no nothing. How would you feel? He said, I wouldn't feel that bad. I didn't lose that much. But how would you feel if whatever we believe in is true, and you wake up after death and you see every single word was correct, and that one kept shut? Why do you take the odds? Why do you take the risk? While all the evidence is showing you that we are going back. Okay? And this is the gift in this holy book, that it tells you everything about your Lord, about your life, about the reality of this life, about your creation, about the work, about everything. Everything. There is nothing is missing to fulfill your goal that is not available in the holy book. Not a single question, not a single thought you could think of is not available in the Quran. And that is, by the way, stated in the Quran. He said that مَا فَرَّطْنَا فِي الْكِتَابِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. Nothing is missing. Because this message is from the Lord to you, because you are chosen ones. You are not a coincidence. You are not a coincidence. You didn't just happen to come to this world. Okay. Now, someone would ask, I need some evidences. How much valuable I am. How much valuable is my soul? And the answer is the world is running actually for your service. And Allah in several, I only quoted 2, but you could find like 10 or 15 or 20 of verses in the Quran, just keeps you wondering that everything inside and outside you can see or you cannot see is only running for your service, only you. Okay? The world, the planets, the sun, the moon, the seas, the skies, everything is working just for you. You know for sure you can eat fish because someone there is taking care of the sea and creating fish over and over and over and over and over. Whenever you feel like you want to eat fish or any seafood, you know someone created something there for you. And you can eat meat or you can eat birds or you can eat whatsoever because you know someone is creating from the name Al-Khaliq. Allah has stated, do you not see how God placed at your service everything in the heavens and the earth? And you say, how is in the heavens? Now imagine if the sun works at its own desire. Imagine your life, how it would be. And imagine if the moon doesn't work this way. Okay? Imagine if the planets are not working in this systematic way. How our life would be on earth. Okay? How he showered you with his blessings both outward and inward. If I tell you that you are responsible about your heartbeats, this is in your choice. You need to work for your heart to get it to beat in seconds, I don't know how many times. Imagine if you are responsible about your lungs, taking the breath in and out. Imagine if you are responsible about lots of functions in your body. How would you feel? And imagine that is already placed at your service just for you, just to achieve that goal. Okay? And the other verse, it said, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, in the alternation of night and day, in the ships that sail in the oceans for the benefit of mankind, in the water that God sends down from the sky, and revives the earth with it after it had died, and scatters in it all kinds of creatures, in the changing of the winds and the clouds disposed between the sky and the earth. All of these are signs for people who get the message, for people who understand that they are valuable. You are not a random soul. You are not a coincidence. You are meant to be. And this is the evidence. Everything is working for you. Everything in the heavens and earth is just working for you. Knowing this, and as I said, the more you read about these verses in the Quran, what Allah has given for your service, the more you know how valuable you are to Him. You're not random, you are not a coincidence. And don't try to put yourself in the box of people where they evaluate you based on materialisms or things that they don't count. The way you look, how money you have, okay, which tribe you are from, where you are located, how reputed you. These are all nonsenses. The only value you could try to seek and find is your connection with your Lord through worshiping Him. The more you are much of a worshipper to Allah, the more closer you are to Him, the more you are valuable to every creature, not only to yourself. And noting this or knowing this will lead to another question. Fine, we are created, we are made this way, and we know the goal, we know the objective, we know we have to worship Allah, we know that the Quran is the word of Allah, we know all the messages, but the challenge is big. The challenge is very big. The desires are very unresistible, okay? And we can make mistakes at any time. And when we make mistakes, we feel we are not worshiping Allah. And again, the Quran answers these doubts. What the Quran said, because you are valuable, because this is the value of your soul, Allah has spoken to His servants, to the ones who worship Him, to the one who seek to get to the satisfaction or to please the Lord. Say, O my servants who have transgressed against themselves, do not despair of God's mercy, for God forgives all sins. He is indeed the forgiver. Okay, so قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا. Rule number 1. As long as you are trying to satisfy your goal, you will make mistakes. Okay, you will forget. Sometimes you do it in intention. You will commit mistakes, regardless of how big they are, regardless of how much in quantity they are. Allah forgives them all under one condition: you seek sincerely to worship Him. So that is okay. لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. You know Allah has the mercy that to put you among those sincere people. So it's like you are working towards a goal and you make a mistake and you come back and you come back and you come back until you are getting that mercy, but you never give up. That's rule number 1. And that is only because your soul is valuable. You need to rescue it. You need to get it to the main objective. Okay? The second verse in Surah Ash-Shura, He said, it is He who accepts the repentance of His worshippers. Imagine they are His worshippers, but they might make mistakes. So then they will seek repentance. Allah tells you He will accept it, and He will remit the sins and know what you do. Remember, we were talking about the quality, not the quantity. So the quality of repentance, the quality of seeking forgiveness, it differs from one person to another. And whether you are sincere or not, Allah knows it. Whether you are really truthful about wanting to seek that objective or you are just trying to claim excuses, He knows it. But because your soul has this much of value, your repentance will be accepted and your sins can be forgiven. Now, there is an extra feature. This is, you know, how valuable is your soul. Allah said in Surah Al-An'am, whoever comes up with a good deed, of course, for the sake of Allah, will have a 10 times its like. So you are getting 10 times whatever you do as a good deed, if it is sincere for the sake of Allah. This is the deal of your good worshipping with Allah. And whoever comes up with an evil deed will be repaid only with its equivalent. They will not be wrong. So because Allah is fair to anyone, if you do good deed, because your soul is valuable, you will get 10 times because you are intending to do this. You are intending to worship Allah. You have in your intention to be with Allah. And if you've done wrong, and that is the other part, then of course you will be, there were times where you will need to pay that off. Okay? And that is for the ones who refuses or who refuse to choose to worship Allah and they decide to worship something else. And that, by the way, just because you say there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is Prophet, this is not finished. You need to show these statements in your life. It's easy to claim that you are a believer. It's easy to claim that you are a true worshipper of Allah. But does your deed say so? And that is what we are suffering now in the world. Easy to say, okay, what you want? You want me to worship Allah? Okay, fine. Allah is the God. Muhammad is His Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's it. He said, that's it. And then they do tremendous amount of sins and mistakes. Only they are worshiping actually themselves, just to fulfill their desires. Those are not true believers of Allah. And really they don't value, and they are called liars to themselves. In several verses in the Quran, they say they are liars to themselves. When, as I told you, worshiping Allah is a way of living, and it includes these acts. It's not only the acts, it's a way of worshiping Allah. And it is always about your choice. This you need to remember. It's always about your choice. It's not about how your parents will look at you. Oh, my son is really going to the mosque. I'm happy and he's happy. No, it's not like that. Did you choose to do it for the sake of Allah or not? That is very important. So this is what I thought that is very important to consider in the Holy Book, in the Quran, is the evaluation of ourselves, how much we value. Time is running. Time of your life is running. And believe me, there is no better time than this time. Every day and night is a good time for you to get connected to Allah. The main thing that you are getting connected, you are going back to your Lord by choice before you go back to Him by force. We said that everyone will go to his Lord. You only choose the way, but you are going either way. You are going, that's a fact. You will go by choice when your soul is ready to be taken, okay? And your heart is looking forward to meet Allah. يرجون لقاء الله, يرجون لقاءنا. And between being taken by force to your Lord because you thought that this is it, this life is it, and there is nothing more there. So that's all I have for you regarding the subject, and I really appreciate the time you have given for attending this session.